There's this phrase that people use. It's "I just don't feel confident." I've heard it time and time again. I've used it time and time again. What do you think that means, and how do you think we can resolve that problem of not feeling confident?
People feel a lack of confidence at different points. Sometimes they truly don't feel it. They've never had it. Sometimes they'll go through a period in their life where their confidence is shaken.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always say, let's start with the foundation. I don't feel confident. In what way? In what way don't you feel confident? And then to start to refill the well. And one of my favorite exercises for people to do, and it's people struggle with this one, is it's called compliment linking. So if someone says to you, wow, you did a great job on that project. We've all been taught, Confidence 101, to say thank you. But that's it. So we thank them, but we don't feel what it was like for us to really accomplish that. So I tell people, I want you to start linking how you feel about achieving that thing. So if someone said to me, wow, you did a great job on that project. Thank you. I really feel pleased and happy with how it turned out. So that I'm connecting my emotions to the actual accomplishment, achievement. It could be someone saying to you, love your spaghetti, Mom.
Yep.
Thank you. It's my favorite recipe. And that makes me feel so good. You are constantly filling that well, because listing your accomplishments is certainly a mental exercise to do. I tell people to feel their accomplishments so that they can expand on their confidence. That's what really allows it to sink in. So start with, how do I feel about the feedback I'm getting? And build it from the tiniest bit of feedback. I love your blouse. Thanks, it's my favorite. You did a great job at that meeting. I'm really pleased. The team really came together. Whatever it is, start to pay attention to the compliments that you get and build on them with your emotions.
That's, I think, a really important exercise. I'm going to start trying to do that. But what about when we fail? What about when things don't go our way? And what about when we don't get that compliment from the external person? What do we do then?
You have to start, again, not you have to, like I'm scolding, but it's important to say to yourself, it may not be your fault that thing happened, but it is your responsibility. Not your fault. It is your responsibility to do the work to heal yourself. I work with a lot of successful corporate attorneys and executives. It's just the area that I seem to be in at this time. And the ones who are the most successful have self-awareness. Self-awareness. They're relaxed. They're ambitious. So I'll give you an example. I coached this senior attorney, and I said, why did you want to meet with me? And it happened to be he, and he said, I want to make sure I'm doing the best job possible and making the best impression possible. He didn't say it in a frantic way. He didn't be like, I'm not sure, and I have to do well. And there wasn't a frantic energy. He was extremely relaxed, but he was extremely self-aware that he wanted to stay on top of how he was coming across. And I said to him, you've already taken a huge step toward being a success in your career. Self-awareness is the hidden secret of success. Self-awareness psychologically, physically, spiritually. I truly believe that.
But how does one become more self-aware?
Through, if you don't have a mentor or a coach or a therapist, start reading. Start reading as many self-help books that you're drawn to. Go into a bookstore, go online, go on Amazon, whatever it is, what title draws you. Research it, go to your library, pick it up, start to read it. Start to self-educate, and then it's going to inform you about the next step. Because I find it's a great intuitive exercise to do when you walk into a bookstore or go on Amazon and you look at the titles, and you give yourself permission to go toward the title that draws you the most. There's a reason.
Yep.
There's something's calling you. Take that first step.
I like how you put that. There are times when I'm in a bookstore and a book is calling me, right? And it's probably from something that is missing within me, right?
Yes.
Wow. And then like internal mindset, I think just having the right mindset, or everybody has their own definition of having the quote unquote right mindset. But how does your mindset shape your communication? So we've spoken about confidence, but communication is also the number one. I think the best communicators are always the most successful, because regardless of what context, situation, environment you're in, as long as you can communicate effectively, you've already won the crowd over. But how does internal mindset shape external communication?
You have to get a reality check on your internal mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And the example of that is, again, I coach a lot of people in communication skills. They're giving keynotes, they're presenting at a meeting, and I record them.
Yep.
And they will say to me before the recording, I was so nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a terrible speaker. Then we'll watch the recording, and the highest compliment that I can get is they go, I didn't look that bad. That wasn't so bad. And what I say to them is, you are not just your nerves. You are not just this person who's afraid of public speaking. You are also someone who's lived life, who moved across the country, who went to school, who achieved things that other people haven't achieved. That's inside as well. So often that adrenalized, distorted way that we think about ourselves, that's not necessarily reflecting on the outside. But if it is, get yourself a coach, start getting feedback. Because I think the way to clear communication is preparation, practice, and feedback. The three-legged stool.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get. I used to practice all my speeches in front of my dog on the couch. He would yawn and look out the window.
Yeah.
Not the best feedback, so I had to get feedback from other people so I could start to believe that I could speak. And the more you do it and the more feedback you get, like the feedback you got from that person when you were on the debate team, the more they said, hey, you're good at this, or you have potential, the more your confidence in your communication grew.
Yep.
So you need that feedback. In other words, when you have a distorted mindset, you need a reality check. Usually from an outside source, because you can't figure it out inside.
It also can't be a friend, right? Because sometimes, depending on who the friend is, they'll give you feedback, but it isn't constructive feedback.
That's
and
right.
also it depends on how open you are to growth. Because there are moments where we do receive feedback, but we take offense to it. How dare you?
Yes.
Right?
Choose wisely. You have to choose your support team wisely and recognize their strengths. You might have a friend who's a really great strategist. You might have a friend who's just that mush you call up and they're just like, you're the best, of course. You might have that friend who's, I'm going to give it to you straight.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to figure something out for yourself, think about, what is it do I need? It goes back to self. How come? How to? Who are the people that will give me what I need? If I call up my accountant because I'm upset about something, not the right choice.
Yeah.
Their mind is
Of course
working
not,
differently. They could be a great emotional person, but their skill set, their relationship with me is, let me balance your books.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I wouldn't call my accountant when I'm feeling down. So, there is a big, and I was actually speaking to one of my other guests who is a speaking coach. He's my speaking coach, actually. And when somebody's a good communicator right off the bat, sometimes, some of us, we have this inherent, like, really strong communication skill. They also come across as cocky or overconfident. And if somebody's building their confidence and their communication skills over time, some of us also end up communicating arrogantly. How do we avoid that arrogance or that overconfidence, and how do we come across as genuine or people who actually care about whatever topic they're talking about?
I love this question because you could be a great communicator, and it goes back to what I said at the very beginning, but it doesn't mean you're connecting. It doesn't mean you're connecting to the audience. And I think the difference is, after your speech, if someone comes up to you and goes, you were great, looking at you as a performance, that means that they viewed you as someone who was entertaining
Yes.
or motivational. But if they come up to you and say, what you said really transformed me, and they tend to open up their heart, I'm going through a hard time, and this is what your words meant to me, that means you've connected to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be Ms. Charisma on
Yep.
stage. You could be a quiet speaker, a gentle speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and be connected to your audience, whereas the person who went before you could be juggling and making you laugh, but you're watching them as a performance. So as long as you're connecting to the audience, it goes back to communication 101. What's in it for them? What are you providing your audience? That's the dialogue that you're having. Even if you speak for 20 minutes at length, giving them information, you should feel very connected to them, not just soaking in their energy coming toward you.
Because even like when you look at comedians, for them the most important thing is the audience's reaction to their joke. But sometimes they'd have a very good joke and the audience doesn't connect to it. So it's just, there needs to be, like you said, an even transaction where
That's right.
you're trying to understand their energy and what they're receptive to, and they're also going to laugh at what they find funny.
It's so true, and this trend with comedians who do a lot of audience work,
Yes.
that is fascinating because they are connected. They have the comedic skill so they can make
Throw the
fun in the
punchline,
moment,
yeah.
yes. But they are working with an audience and they're connected. They're not just that old school style of comedian where you're on stage and the laughter is the confirmation.
Yep.
Being able to relate and connect and think on your feet with an audience member, that's a really good skill, and that shows connection.
Yeah.